How to avoid explicit self in Python. I have been learning Python by following some Pygame tutorials. Therein I found extensive use of the keyword self, and coming from a primarily Java background, I find that I keep forgetting to type self. For example, instead of self.rect.syntax I would type rect.syntax, because, to me, rect is already a member variable of the class. The Java parallel I can think of for this situation is having to prefix all references to member variables with this. Am I stuck prefixing all member variables with self, or is there a way to declare them that would allow me to avoid having to do so? Even if what I am suggesting isn't Pythonic, I'd still like to know if it is possible. I have taken a look at these related SO questions, but they don't quite answer what I am after. Python, why use self in a class? Why do you need explicitly have the self argument into a Python method?
In Java terms, Python doesn't have member functions, all class functions are static, and are called with a reference to the actual class instance as first argument when invoked as member function. This means that when your code has a class myClass and you build an instance m equals myClass, calling m.do_something will be executed as myClass.do_something m. Also note that this first argument can technically be called anything you want, but the convention is to use self, and you should stick to that convention if you want others, including your future self, to be able to easily read your code. The result is there's never any confusion over what's a member and what's not, even without the full class definition visible. This leads to useful properties, such as, you can't add members which accidentally shadow non-members and thereby break code. One extreme example, you can write a class without any knowledge of what base classes it might have, and always know whether you are accessing a member or not. That's the complete code. Sum_ function returns the type used as a base. Another, where the methods of a class are dynamically composed. Remember, both of these examples are extreme and you won't see them every day, nor am I suggesting you should often write code like this, but they do clearly show aspects of self being explicitly required.
Previous answers are all basically variants of you can't, or you shouldn't. While I agree with the latter sentiment, the question is technically still unanswered. Furthermore, there are legitimate reasons why someone might want to do something along the lines of what the actual question is asking. One thing I run into sometimes is lengthy math equations where using long names makes the equation unrecognizable. Here are a couple ways of how you could do this in a Kant example. The third example, i.e. using for k in self._dict_column exec k plus equals self.plus k, is basically what the question is actually asking for, but let me be clear that I don't think it is generally a good idea. For more info, and ways to iterate through class variables, or even functions, see answers and discussion to this question. For a discussion of other ways to dynamically name variables, and why this is usually not a good idea, see this blog post. Update. There appears to be no way to dynamically update or change locals in a function in Python 3, so Calc 3 and similar variants are no longer possible. The only Python 3 compatible solution I can think of now is to use globals. Which, again, would be a terrible practice in general.
Actually, self is not a keyword, it's just the name conventionally given to the first parameter of instance methods in Python. And that first parameter can't be skipped, as it's the only mechanism a method has of knowing which instance of your class it's being called on.
You can use whatever name you want, for example. Or even. But you are stuck with using a name for the scope. I do not recommend you use something different to self unless you have a convincing reason, as it would make it alien for experienced Pythonistas.
If you want to see more, use the subscribe.